Excited to introduce our speaker today. Kyle Slaymaker is a Central PA Navy veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, a father of three, and a multi-award-winning entrepreneur. After leaving the Navy, he began a career in sales at a local family-owned car dealership. Despite not having any prior experience in sales, Kyle went on to have massive success in multiple sales mediums and products and services. After about 5 years in sales, he decided to take the leap into entrepreneurship and start his own sales training company, the Slaymaker Method. Since the start of his company, Kyle has gone on to write 5 books, 4 of which are bestsellers in the sales training genre. The Slaymaker Method has gone on to win multiple awards from the Central Penn Business Journal 2 years in a row for the best management consultant, best coaching firm, and multiple others. He also hosts a popular sales podcast titled Slaying the Sale, which has gone on to become one of the top-ranked podcasts in the world in all of podcasting, currently ranking in the top 5% of podcasts available around the world. Kyle has spoken on stages around the country, and his annual speaking summit, the Slaymaker Success Summit, brings in speakers and attendees from all over the country. So welcome, Kyle.
Man, I feel like the only way I could have had a better intro is if I wrote it myself. I did. So listen, who wants to reinvent sales? Because I'm not the guy to reinvent sales. I was just having this discussion with Mr. Zubler. Sales has not been redefined. The wheel hasn't been reinvented since probably 1973 when Xerox came out with solutions-based selling. That's how it's been done just about in every single business since. So I'm not going to bore you with, look at these flashy new tactics. This is how you're going to change stuff. No. Who here has heard of Grant Cardone? Okay. Sandler Training. Miller Hyman. At least one of you heard of Miller Hyman. They all do the exact same type of stuff. The difference that sales trainers have is we all do it with our own different little bits of flair and personality. Like you take a look at Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is very, very, very over the top, very aggressive. That's his personality style. Sandler has, I don't think they call it the Sandler submarine anymore. They may have changed it. But it's all the same thing. Take your customer from prospect to market loyalty, right? To where they don't want to go to anybody but you. So I only have a short bit of time today, so we're not going to get too thick into the woods. But what we are going to do is go over one of the most misunderstood and underutilized aspects of sales, the prospecting and planning phase. How many of you know who your target audience is? Uh-oh. I see every hand come up on that one. So many people, they just see their target market and that's it. They lump it all in with just one target audience. The problem with that is when you sell that way, you're going to be given different value statements. You're going to get mixed up. So what I always teach people, I call it surgical prospecting. It's the name of my latest book, available on Amazon. There's my plug for the day. The way I do it, let's say I'm going to do a 2-hour selling block every morning. I'm going to prep the night before. Now, I know my target audience is small to medium-sized businesses, right? I'm in the B2B space. Now, you'd think that would just be a huge mix of people, and it is. So what do I do? Because I'm going to make sure that I'm giving the right value statement to the right people, I want to make sure I'm planned. So let's say you're a chiropractor. Your main audience is people in the construction field. Well, how many different facets from the construction field are there? There's roofers, there's masons, there's general constructions, there's bridge workers, right? They're all going to have different reasons for coming to you as a chiropractor. So when you're out there cold calling, when you're out there selling, you need to be able to speak to those specific needs. So if I come to somebody and I say, all right, I'm going to spend a half an hour and I'm going to call on small car dealerships. That's all I'm going to call on that half hour. That's it. I'm not going to deviate. I don't care if I get other calls coming in. That first half hour is 100% small car dealerships. Because I know, yes, sir.
Speak a little louder or use the microphone, please.
Absolutely. I'm always looking to speak louder. The dangerous part is I'm a Navy veteran, so you have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. I do. So like I was saying, and thank you for holding me accountable, making sure the room can hear me. You want to make sure you're delivering that value statement to the specific industry. right? Everybody in here can be business agnostic. It's not hard, especially in the B2B space, especially if you have these big general audiences. It's so easy to just be like, this is what I do. How many times have you gone up to somebody at a networking event or out in public, you ask what they do, and they give you a completely canned elevator statement or wedge statement, and you're just like, all right, you and 35 other people in this room. But what happens when somebody comes to you and says, like very, very surgically, very, very specifically, they talk to you about a need that you have, right? So if, for example, car dealerships, or let's go back to the chiropractors, right? If I'm going to call on roofers that day, or that block, my value statement is going to be specific to needs that I know those roofers have. So it'll be, I have a 4-part value statement: who I am, who I'm with, what I do, and the problem that I solve. That's it. That's all you got to do. But make sure that problem that you solve is specific to that person, that industry. A stone layer isn't going to care about the needs of a roofer. How does that relate to them at all? It doesn't. If you're a used car salesman, you're going to call somebody looking for a new car, a brand new car? No, what's the point in that? You want somebody that's going to be coming in for a used car. So why are you going to give the same value statement to other people? I can't tell you how many times I have seen so many people, from business owners, even CEOs, all the way down, that completely miss this. Their sales blocks, their prospecting blocks is simply just throwing darts at a wall, shotgun sprays. And that works for a little bit. But the good money, where the good sales are going to come from, is when you can immediately start piquing the interest of a prospect. When that prospect sees that you are doing something, or you have something that they absolutely need that can fill a problem that they have, that's when you're going to start seeing higher close rates, higher conversions, better customer loyalty, getting them to that market loyalty and brand loyalty. So how many of you actually actively sell each day? Wow, what a room. What a room. All right, everybody should be, if you're in business, you're always selling. I hate when somebody comes up to me and says, oh, I don't really sell. Then how do you make money? How does your business operate if you're not selling? If you're not closing deals, you're not bringing in revenue, right? So throw some markets at me that you guys are dealing with, but specifically. I don't want the general, this is what I do. Like, I know, Mr. Clark, you're in law.
Correct.
Right? From a business agnostic standpoint, anybody who needs a lawyer, right? But that's not true, is it?
No.
Exactly. So we know that he's in real estate law, some contract stuff, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Right? What about some others? What are some other really niche down markets that you guys are in? Nonprofit? Oh, that's fun. Okay. What kind of nonprofits? All right, well, that's specific enough. We're all in the room anyway. Waste hauler industries. So, are we talking toy? Like how big? How big of the trailers do you have?
So our customers are the big waste haulers that work around the city, Fenway's waste management, that industry.
Okay, so are you breaking them up, segmented? Like, what separates each different hauler from another? It's all pretty similar. How about your competition? Do you have any competition in the area? Oh, that's not helping me at all. All right.
Commercial bankers.
Commercial bankers? Okay. Do you have different subsections, different markets? What kind of markets do you have?
Mainly Lancaster, Dauphin, Perry, just kind of contiguous counties.
Okay. I have a friend of mine who I believe she works for Members First. She's also on the commercial side, and she is an absolute killer with breaking up her prospecting and her sales days, because she will every day, every night before she goes in, she'll come up with a list of exactly who she's going to call on, and there is not a single waving of industry on that list. One day she will call on small businesses, and then she'll break it down even more, right? Because she knows that each of those businesses, each of those people that she's calling on, are going to have different needs. And when you start calling from like a small customer to a larger customer, you're going to run the risk of giving a different value statement that's not going to have anything to do with somebody. I don't care if you've been selling for 50 years, people make mistakes, right? So let's talk value statement for a minute. And this is usually where people just love hearing me talk about it because they think I'm reinventing the wheel. I'm not. Value statements. How many people get bored of an elevator pitch within like 3 seconds? All right. And how many people have heard the same elevator pitches from a million different people? Okay. Here's how you set it apart. There's going to be two big things. I said that I talk about the problem that I solve. All right. So for me, I was selling for a business, a very large telecommunications business. We'll say it may have rhymed with Schmomcast. And I would go in, and I'd know if I'm going into an Amish community, an Amish business, which there's money there, I'll tell you that, I would give them a very specific value statement. I help members of the Amish community make sure that they're set up with the best payment processing platforms that they can have to ensure that the credit card sales aren't walking out the door and they're not losing money. Interest peaked right there. They hear their community, they hear a problem that I know they have, and they're immediately wanting me to sit down and talk to them. It's that simple. The fourth or fifth thing, I forgot how many I told you, is asking for the appointment. You should be asking for the close at every single part of the sales process. But the close isn't always buy my deal or buy my stuff, buy my stuff. The very first close you should be going for is getting that appointment set, right? You can't sell somebody if they're not going to meet with you. So this is how I'd always do it. I would always end with, I'd love some time to sit down and talk with you about how I've been able to help other business owners in the area. How does Friday at 2 sound? If not, just let me know and I'll try to move my schedule around. I don't give them the chance. How many times do you hear people come to you and say, oh, let me know when you can meet? Never. I'm busy, right? We're conditioned to say no. We're 100% conditioned to say no, especially as business owners. Are we busy? Of course we're busy. Last thing we want to do is sit and be sold. So don't give them the opportunity. Now, it sounds a little like it's an aggressive move. It's not. Because they're going to feel like, oh, I guess I have to meet with this person. He's expecting to meet with me at Friday at 2. One of my favorite things to do would be, listen, I can't meet right now, but I'm going to be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and I'll talk to you then. Then they know when to expect you, and they're like, wait, I have to give him an answer. Otherwise, he's going to come back in. And if they don't say yes, they say, well, tomorrow doesn't work. Hey, no problem. Just, what does, let me know when I can come back. Let's go. Or they'll say no, and then you're going to get those objections that we've always heard. I don't have time. I'm happy with who I have. Every objection is an opportunity to just restart the conversation and break through another barrier. So, I don't even know what time. Wow, that 15 went quick. All right. So like I said, I didn't really have a ton of time to talk to you guys and get into the weeds about sales. I'm happy to talk to anybody offline, my number, my email, and I know we've got a Q&A portion. So as far as the Q&A portion goes, you guys can ask me anything about anything related to sales, and we'll get to work. So what do we got? There we go.
Do salespeople that go through training go through a module that says ignore the no solicitation sign?
Oh. He's asking for tricks of the trade. Okay, so no, but I will say this. When I would not see no solicitation signs, I'd do two things. One, if it was a restaurant or a business that I knew I could potentially spend my money in, I'd go in and spend my money, and that's how I'd start the conversation. People are much more willing to ignore the no soliciting signs if you're buying from them. Also, what I've seen people do, I had a buddy of mine who's a very, very, very good salesperson. And I was shadowing him one day. This is when I was working for not Comcast. We walked in, and the guy's like, don't you see the no soliciting sign? I was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And my buddy goes, I can't read. And just went right on to his pitch. Totally caught him off guard, and by the time he finished his value statement, that person behind the desk went, thank God you're here. When can you come back? Can you come back in about an hour and we can sit and talk because I've got to talk to you about changing my internet? No soliciting signs, read them right. If you walk in and you already see an angry group of people, keep walking. All right, hopefully less tricks of the trade secrets.
So maybe it's a little bit different than the type of sales, but I mean, sales have changed with like internet, right? And search engines and Google and all that sort of stuff. So is that not, is that something you deal with? Is that not a development or a major change in how sales work?
So I get that question a lot, and there's kind of two ways to really look at that question. There's a lot of that is marketing, right? It's search engine optimization, it's reputation management, all that other fun stuff. But at the end of the day, if you really start looking at the way a lot of these ads and Google listings and everything are operating, it's just solution selling. They're letting you know that this is the need that they solve. So once they click on an ad and they talk to a real person or AI, if you're really getting ahead of the curve, don't get me started, please. It's all solutions based, 150%. I couldn't even tell you, outside of maybe going to eat at a restaurant, is probably the only transactional sales that I see. If I had a salesperson come up to me anywhere I'm at and try to do a transactional process, I'm out. I want somebody to take the time and tell me why I should be buying with them, even if I know why I'm buying from them. I'll go into Best Buy is a great example. I'll go into Best Buy. I already know exactly what I want. I do not need to do any research. This is what I'm coming for. This is what I'm going to get. Right? Can I help you find anything? No. I may have no clue where it's at. No, I don't need any help. We're preconditioned, right? But once I have a salesperson break that barrier down, because the good ones will watch where you go, they'll see where you're standing, they'll look at what you're looking at, and then they'll re-engage. They'll come up and say, oh yeah, that is a really good TV, or that's a great digital camera. Do you use it for webcam? And they start that conversation. All things considered, a good salesperson is the easiest person to sell. If a salesperson comes up to me and just gives me the time of day, cool, I didn't know that. Let's put it in the cart. It's that simple. Take the time to understand who you're talking to. Make sure you're leading them from point A to point B. And you're not doing it by just peppering them with, you need us because of this. You need my services because of that. You need to figure out how you can get them to buy from you, because you know that you're going to be able to do for them what they can't do for themselves. It's very, very, very simple when it comes down to it. Some of the best salespeople I know, introverts. Very, very extreme introverts, because they are the best listeners. I was talking to Dennis about this earlier. You want that customer and prospect talking as much as you can. The more they talk, the more they're going to give you. The more they talk, the more you're going to be able to use. It's like hunting, right? You don't go out to hunt with an empty gun, right? I'd hope not. Every sentence a customer tells you is a bullet in a gun. It's loading it in. Okay, you said, well, I want to get this done because I'd really like to make more money. Well, yeah, of course. But right, most salespeople stop there. Well, I can do that, and then you can make the money. Not me. I'm going to sit there and go, well, tell me how much you want to make. Why do you want to make that money? Oh, well, it'd provide a little bit more financial freedom. I could spend more time at home, spend more time with my kids. Oh, cool. What do you like doing with your kids? Oh, well, we like going to Phillies games. Cool. So when I go back for the close, I've already got all that ammunition that this customer gave me just by me having a decent conversation with them. So I'm just sit there and say, hey, we're going to fix this, and we're going to get you that extra revenue. That way, not only are you spending less time here, but you're making those memories with your kids and more Phillies games. Now, all of a sudden, how much more valuable do you think my services became? Let somebody come in behind me and just go, yeah, I can do that, and it's going to save you this. How does that sound?
You and I were talking a while ago, and I mentioned that, I like to buy something from someone I know, from a friend. And so you're talking about asking these questions and hearing about me, and now you're becoming my friend. Mm-hmm. And I'd much sooner buy from you than the other person who's just coming in with a product.
Yeah, 100%. How many here like referrals? Finally, we get all the hands up. So I think a referral is the greatest piece of business that anybody can get, because it shows a few things. It shows, one, you did your job with your normal customer so much that he's willing to put his reputation on the line to recommend somebody to you, because they know you're going to do a really good job. I like the referrals that come from customers that I handled 15 years ago. I've got people that I sold cars to, my very first sales job, that turned around and called me and said, come in and train my team. That, you can't put a price tag on it. Every customer is so much more than a commission. Client before commission. I will take a loss if I have to, if it means you're getting a gain. Because at the end of the day, I'm very business agnostic. Everybody's going to need to learn how to sell. Everybody's going to want to sell better. But I want to know that you're being taken care of. I don't want you going to anybody and saying, well, Kyle didn't really meet my needs. Heck no. I have no problem going above and beyond. That's why I have customers following me for the past 15 years. In various, some of them didn't even need what I was selling. They just wanted to talk to me and come and hang out. I love that. I absolutely love that. Every single customer should be a friend, can be a friend. What else we got? Any other sales questions? Yes. Oh, here we go.
Let's talk about non-Comcast. So I've been a Comcast customer as soon as I got my first TV, my first apartment.
Mm-hmm.
40 years, whatever. Why do they continually market with mailings to the customers they already have? For like a new service. Like every week I get a Comcast envelope.
So speaking, this is going to go more towards the marketing side, obviously. Me personally, I'm not a fan of mailers. I'm a fan of mailers if I'm going to reach a very, very specific demographic that I know is actually going to take what I send them in the mail and read it. How many of you throw mailers out on a daily basis? There we go, every hand again. So Comcast marketing budget is astronomical. It's huge, huge. And they would send so much out. They're just inundating people with it. Me personally, I don't do mailers. I want to make sure that when I'm reaching people, I know exactly where they're going to be reached at, and I want to know that I'm reaching them in a way that they're going to hear.
I think it's a disservice to them. I moved my company's office. We had Comcast. I did everything I could to make sure I didn't have Comcast in that new office. And I have Starlink. And I'll do the same thing at my house if I could, but right now I can't. Like, that's how ridiculous it is, like, to me.
So obviously, I no longer work for Comcast. This is on YouTube. You guys treated me great. And they did, honestly. I learned a lot, and they taught me very well when it was my time to go into entrepreneurship. But you know, there is something to be said with that. Make sure you're walking that fine line, because how many of you know it's so easy to go from good marketing to annoying, right? It happens so easily. So make sure that however you're reaching your customers, your prospects, it's in ways they want to be reached. Anybody like getting cold calls? I love making them though. I'll be totally honest. I love making cold calls. It's one of the most challenging aspects in sales still. Social media selling, easy. Email selling, easy. Video content, all that's fun. The challenge, cold calls. I can door knock all day long. Cold calls, you got to make 500 a day sometimes to get a close sometimes. But again, the secret is deliver the value. Yes, sir.
Now you mentioned you don't do marketing, so you don't do targeted drip. Like if you're doing B2B, you don't do targeted drip to at least get your name available before you launch your call.
So let me go a little deeper on how I view my marketing. And Dennis can attest this. He's been following me on Facebook. That's how he got linked up with me. That's how I got linked up to speak today. For the past 5-6 years since my business has been in place, I have, outside of my website, I spent $50 on marketing. That's it. That $50 was to put a billboard when I won the Central Penn Business Journal for Best Management Consultant outside of a competitor's office. So that was worth the $50. I'll be honest. I do primarily social media. And the way I do it is I just be myself. I know how to post. I know how to convey what I do to the people that actually need it. And I'm an open book. Anybody that follows me on social media, you will see literally every single aspect of my life. That's it. I will give out as much free sales content as I can. I will post about my podcast episodes. I'll do everything I can to provide as much value as possible to anybody who's following me. That is how I market. That's it. Because if you're coming to me, I couldn't even tell you the last time I did cold outreach. Because I've been doing the social media side so long, the podcast and the speaking, that it's all inbound at this point. So my leads are pre-qualified. If you're reaching out to me, I'm pretty open about my ideal client when I'm on Facebook. My posts are all geared towards my ideal client. So if you're coming to me, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're already pre-qualified. So as far as drip campaigns, I couldn't even tell you the last time I did one. Absolutely couldn't. I mean, I've got a rudimentary funnel that I've built just to keep myself in check so I know how to process my CRM. But I'm not doing email blasts. I'm not doing any of that. Because like we already talked about, mailers, it's annoying as hell. All right? I get emails every day. And I barely read 3/4 of them because it's all sale now, promotion here. What would you do if your business failed? I don't know, go back to work. So I don't want to blast people. I don't want to inundate them. I want to know that they already know I'm providing that value. So when it comes to me, I don't have to give value statements on the sales process anymore. It's all right, yeah, let's book a call. Let's figure out what we're doing. And let's get you to start making the money that you feel your business should be making. Yes, sir.
Going full circle on referral. I just, a few minutes ago, read an email from my financial advisor thanking me for referring a prominent Rotarian that everybody in the room knows to him. See, he thanked me now. So, well, I have incentive to keep pleasing him because he thanked me.
That's why I love small business. I love small business. And here's a good story. A good friend of mine, he was my keynote speaker last year at the Slaymaker Success Summit. His name's Sammy Knight. Sammy is worth, last time I talked to him about it, about $3.5 billion. Marketing genius. He helped build Mossy Oak into the juggernaut that it was, the hunting apparel company. Then he left to go start a few more brands. They hired him back as a consultant, paid him in a whole bunch of shares. 6 months later, he helped them sell the company for God knows how much. Sammy is the nicest man I've ever met. He would give you the shirt off his back. He drives a beat-up pickup truck. You would not know that this guy owns the largest ranch in Mississippi. He's amazing. He refers business to me all the time. I have nobody to refer to him. How does somebody like me, who's a one-man show, a solopreneur, give business to a guy who's worth $3.5 billion? But you know what? I thank him for every single one, and that's all he asked for. That's it. And of course, I buy Mossy Oak every chance I can, so try to give that back to him. But yeah, referrals in the small business side of things, whether you're an attorney, whether you're in waste hauling, referrals are amazing, right? I love money. I love commissions. But at the same time, I've got a pretty big ego. If you tell me I do a good job, I'm pretty damn happy too. And those referrals, there's nothing better. Absolutely nothing better. So I think I'm at my limit. I don't know, but I'm happy to keep answering questions.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good job.